Welcome back, everyone. We hear it all the time as parents. Our children are like sponges. They soak up everything they see and hear us do, and that includes how we handle our finances. So what message are you sending your kids about the value of $1? We decided this was too good to pass up. We had to dive into this one in Real Talk with Kara Kinnear, attorney and comedian, owner of the Punchline Comedy Club, Jamie Bendel. And please welcome, making her roundtable debut, mom coach Susan Morley. Welcome, Susan. Thank you. Of course, we were already starting in the commercial break with Jamie's kids. I was telling you, my kids, I look down, they're always asking me for something. So let's start off by asking, at what age do you feel that kids really start becoming aware of the value of the dollar? Is that too, like even saying that makes me think definitely not as young as 6 and 7, or is it?
Oh, definitely. So preschoolers, for sure, they understand that you need money to buy things.
Yeah.
And then at kindergarten, they start to understand the difference between a need and a want. Okay. However, that's kind of a lifelong process.
Yes,
sometimes
no kidding.
On Facebook, I think I need something, and I have to have a little talk with myself. And,
right.
You know, I don't need it.
Right. Those suggested ads, they keep sucking me in. No, it's a need and a want. And how do we differentiate between those?
And by the way, why are so many of those businesses going out of business online?
I don't know.
Clothing manufacturers I've never heard of.
Right.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we're going out of business. I'm like, that's because I've never heard of you.
Like,
I didn't mean to change the subject. But
exactly, but that's
still
true.
touring.
Right, that's a whole other roundtable discussion. I'm like, and stop already. Okay, when do you feel like your children, having the oldest children here, or I should ask you, how many children do you have?
I have 17 and 15, both girls.
17, 15, both girls.
Let's do it.
Yes, y'all are in the thick of it. Jamie, when did you really feel like they got it, and how did you help?
I'm not sure they do.
Okay.
I think that, yeah.
Yes.
You know, so look, I grew up in an environment where I had limited allowance relative to expectations of things that you do around the house. I do think that sometimes I'm not a fan of putting a price tag on, we pay for grades, we pay for chores, we pay for, like, there are certain things that are expectations in life that shouldn't come with dollar amounts attached to them.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
100%.
She's agreeing with you there.
But
I know, me too.
Well, but I do think that that's an easy way to try to motivate. So there's a difference of how do you motivate a kid.
So true.
And then I do think that setting goals, and so to the extent that they're sponges, if they hear you saying, well, maybe we shouldn't buy that now, why don't we save a little and then we'll plan for this, that they learn a little bit about the behavior if they're not sure on all the specifics.
Okay, Kara.
Well, I'm sort of all over the place.
James
I'm all
doing?
ears for this because we haven't done anything like set in stone. Like we've talked about doing the chore thing or doing a point system, but then we always can find ways to like negate what's right and what's wrong, or is this going to work, or is this going to teach them really, you know, the value of the dollar. So I don't know. So I need help.
I know. Yes, we need help.
I have a thought. First of all, I think it's really important that as parents and really anybody, we need to understand our own ideas, philosophy, and belief around money. So just a real quick check, maybe talk with your partner. What do we really believe about money? And then once you have that foundation, then I think everything flows a little better. And I do have 3 rules around allowance, and I think children should receive allowance.
Okay.
And so if it's okay.
Starting at what age?
So, well, that depends on your family. But when children start wanting to buy things that they want, but you think, well, you don't really need it, and I don't really want to spend my money, like maybe a trinket or a toy, then if you think, well, if you had your own money, sure, that's a good indication about when.
Right.
So the 3 rules around around allowance is, number 1, like Jamie, do not pay for behavior, grades, or performance. And I don't even pay for chores. I think chores are something that everyone should participate in so that a household runs smoothly.
Right.
Then what does that leave?
Well, then they just get money because everyone needs money. We all need money to spend. So they just get an allowance because they need money to buy things.
Okay.
When I was growing up, when my parents owned a restaurant, so it was very, like, I've worked from when I was 7. I know there's child labor laws, but I was in the kitchen cutting potatoes. So for me,
tipped
it was
only.
like,
It was tip only. What's wrong with that?
So I like got that pretty early. My husband grew up in a household that was hyper aware of money because he's like, we didn't know if our electricity was going to be on. So we come from like 2 totally different background. So it's been interesting us having these conversations, but I like what you said because that at least gives us a guideline of, you know, we shouldn't pay for X, Y, and Z, the things that you should expect them to do.
I love that. It was grades, behavior, what was the other one?
Performance or chores. You don't want to pay them for those. You just want to give your children money, whatever your budget allows. and as they get older, they get more money.
Got
All right,
it.
so part of the other thing that I think is a challenge is so much of what we do related to money has moved out of sight.
Yes.
So you don't see a parent
So
as
true.
often sitting at the kitchen table writing out checks to pay
Yes.
bills.
They asked me about checks the other day. They're like, let me get this straight. You just write on a piece of paper, any old piece, and I'm like, no, it's
Wait
more
till
involved.
wait till they get into the Federal Reserve conspiracy theories.
Okay.
Is that happening?
Someone asked me about that.
But I'm just saying, from the standpoint of we pay our bills online, right? And kids
Yes.
sometimes don't appreciate that they're just clicking a button on a device that's a purchase in an app.
Yeah, right.
Right? There's, you know, and it's not just you can go to the store and the kid says, "Can I buy this?" Depending on how your home computer or some of your devices are set up, they can be clicking away on Amazon and whatnot, and boxers
Right.
are showing up.
I caught Kate doing it on that one click, and I mean, she got in trouble. I was like, absolutely not.
Right.
Well, I thought I had money from Nani's birthday gift. I'm like, you spent that. Let me show you the notebook.
Yeah.
No.
But so some of that helps contribute to that concept of what is money, how does it, work,
doesn't
why is
seem
it doing it?
It's not tangible.
It's
No.
not as tangible.
And one thing parents can do to help is just, and this is really hard, so I understand,
God,
but try
If
to
you say
remember.
carry cash, I'm walking off.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Carry cash.
I never carry
just a
cash.
little, and you can go to your local credit union and open up a little savings account. So, and look, we don't have time to sit down and pay the bills. There's a reason why we've moved to electronics, but it is important to have a conversation. The easiest way to do that is to make sure you have dinner together as a family.
Right.
And those conversations will naturally come up.
Right.
That's true.
And experts do say having those conversations with the kids are so important, but you have to find that opportune time. And like you said, I mean, when are we all together now with so much activities? Money is such an important, I mean, we know now people divorce over the mismanagement of it, or people's, the way that they view it. So starting at an early age and really carrying those fundamentals through as young as simple as starting that savings account, you're saying.
Well, and people, I'm sorry.
No,
but
yes.
don't people have hang-ups around money? Like, so to the extent that it does drive challenges in relationships, people do come with very different perspectives on how are we going to manage the family money, what are the goals that we're planning for, and you can have issues around, and I think in this same article is talking about, do you ever tell your children how much money you're making? And how does that drive some of those conversations? And I know just from filling out the FAFSA form, whatever I didn't tell my kid about what we were doing for money in our household, they now know because it's part of the college application.
That form is the great equalizer, isn't it?
Oh yeah, all of a sudden all the secrets, are out.
And everything. But if you, leading up to it, because I was a little shocked at how detailed it was. But
this is the college form for those of you who
should
don't
you
By the
tell
way,
your
fill it
kids
out.
how
You
much
gotta
money
fill
you
it.
make? 'Cause I had no idea how much my parents made. I was like,
I really didn't until I found my mom's W-2, and I cried knowing she'd worked like 3 jobs to send me to private school. She never discussed it. I just knew she was working a lot. And that was it.
I think you can talk about ranges. So in Atlanta, we'll see panhandlers. We see people asking for money on the on-ramps and exit ramps. So I think that you can start a conversation in general when the children are younger. There are people that have more than others, and that would lead to a discussion about what you do as a family, your values around money, and how you give back. Can also lead to a discussion, which is my favorite discussion, which is gratitude. And talk about this, you know, we are fortunate. We don't have everything. There's always somebody who's going to have more.
Right.
There's always going to be somebody who has less.
I always try to say it because even now at 8 and 10, like they get it. They go over to somebody's house and they've got a pool. When are we getting a pool? I'm like, what?
Honey, that's why we have friends with pools.
Exactly.
Why are we going to buy a pool? They spend the money.
It really is. Yes, that discussion of like.
That's why you get a large cheese dip every time we go to Mexican. So I'm not blowing it all in pool filters.
Exactly. I'm going to use that next time. They want the extra cheese
James
dip.
thinks every car is the lease price on the commercial. He's like, that car's only $219. Oh, you can get that car free for 3 months. I'm like, it doesn't work that way.
It sounds good in theory.
Like, I know how much this car was, $50.
Right. You're like, no, it's much more than that. Do you think that we are taught, our children are taught enough in school about finances? I don't feel like growing up I was at my school.
Well, I was taught how to fill out a check. Like I remember learning that, and of course they're probably not learning that now. And people are lamenting that there's no more home ec classes.
Right.
You know, why aren't we teaching home ec?
Well, because they can't figure out a way to certify AP home ec. Right?
Exactly.
It doesn't have enough rigor.
Right.
We
actually have, though, here in Atlanta, there is a great resource down at the World Congress Center, which is the Junior Achievement Facility that they have down there.
Interviewed them on the show.
It's amazing, and they do a great program a lot of times at all various stages.
Right.
But I do think that there's probably more financial life skills that should be taught. And it really should just be a part of your whether it's in social studies or
curriculum,
yes. All the way through.
I hate that we have to wrap because this is so good. But we want you to weigh in. What are your thoughts? How are you managing it? If you have some great tips and advice, we'd love to hear from you. Facebook.com/ATL & Co.